Distinguished delegates, good morning. I welcome you all to the informal briefing on the preparations for the 62nd session of the Commission for Social Development. The 62nd session of the Commission will be held from Monday, 5 February to Wednesday, 14 February 2024. And today's briefing is intended to help facilitate the preparations for the upcoming session, and I am pleased to convene the briefing in my capacity as the chair of the Commission's 62nd session. Allow me to highlight a number of important procedural and organizational matters, after which Mr. John Wilmoth, the Acting Director and Officer in charge of the Division for Inclusive Social Development of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, will provide us with additional information on the proposed substantive work of the Commission. After the briefing, I will invite delegations to comment and pose any questions that arise. Delegations wishing to take the floor will be invited to press the microphone button to request the floor. We also have with us the Secretary of the Commission, Ms. Rachel Stein-Holmes, who can respond to any procedural or technical question that you might have. I will now turn to the subject of today's informal briefing. The proposed organization of work, let's turn to that. As delegations may know, the provisional annotated agenda for the session will be contained in E/CN5/2024/1 and will be issued in all official languages. An advanced unedited version has been circulated through e-delegate. The proposed organization of work is included in Annex 1 to the same document and is also available in an informal matrix format. These documents are available on the Commission's website. The 62nd session of the Commission is expected to take place fully in person. All formal meetings of the Commission will be held in conference room number 4. Pursuant to Economic and Social Council Resolution 2023/12, adopted on the recommendation of the Commission for Social Development at its 61st session, the priority theme of the 62nd session will be fostering social development and social justice through social policies to accelerate progress on the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and to achieve the overarching goal of poverty eradication. Quite long, but very useful, I assure you. Now turning to panel discussions and interactive dialogues. In order to produce a constructive outcome for the 62nd session of the Commission, there will be a high-level panel discussion on the priority theme, which will take place in the afternoon of Monday, 5 February. This will be an excellent opportunity for the Commission and key stakeholders to engage in a substantive dialogue on identifying effective social policies to accelerate progress on the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and to achieve the overarching goal of poverty eradication. Given the importance of the priority theme, I urge all members of the Commission to send high-level representation to this panel discussion. The Secretary General's report on the priority theme will be issued as document E/CN5/2024/3. In addition to the high-level panel discussion on the priority theme, 5 interactive discussions will be held as follows. 1. A ministerial forum on the priority theme will be convened on the morning of Tuesday, 6 February. The ministerial forum will be an opportunity to exchange national and regional practices and innovative approaches to foster social development and social justice through social policies. Member states with ministerial level representation are encouraged to consider participating in the ministerial forum panel. Number 2, a high-level panel discussion on the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family will take place on the morning of Wednesday, 7 February. The Secretary General's report on the preparations for and observance of the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family will be issued in due course. Number 3, a panel discussion on the emerging issue of the influence of digital transformation on inclusive growth and development, a path to realizing social justice, will be held on the afternoon of Wednesday, 7 February. The Secretary General's note on the emerging issues will be issued as document E/CN5/2024/4. Number 4, an interactive dialogue with senior officials of the United Nations system on the priority theme will be held on the morning of Thursday, 8 February. Relevant UN entities will present key messages and recommendations from their work and recent publications, including effective policies and strategies, common challenges, and lessons learned on fostering social development and social justice to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda. And lastly, and number 5, a multi-stakeholder forum dedicated to sharing solutions on the priority theme will be held on the afternoon of Thursday, 8 February. The discussion will focus on practical examples from different stakeholders to foster social development and social justice to eradicate poverty. More information on the panelists and moderators for the interactive discussions will be provided as such details become available. In order to ensure a meaningful and interactive discussion during the Commission, I urge you to advise your delegations to avoid reading out prepared statements during the panel discussions. We should come prepared to interact and respond to suggestions made, propose new and innovative ideas, and share our experiences so that we can draw upon good practices and lessons learned. As in the past, there will be no pre-established list of speakers for the panel discussions. Delegations will be requested to press the microphone button in order to request for the floor. Every effort will be made to accommodate ministers and vice ministers first, and delegations are encouraged to inform the Secretariat in the room on the day of the meeting if any ministers, vice ministers are interested to intervene in the respective panel discussions. Intervention from the floor should be limited to no more than 3 minutes. Now, turning to the general discussion, the Bureau proposes to hold a joint general discussion of sub-items A and B of Agenda Item 3, as was done in previous years, so as to rationalize the work of the Commission. Delegations will be invited to inscribe under both sub-items for one statement, which may be shared among several members of the same delegation if desirable. The Bureau strongly encourages statements in the general discussion to be delivered in person. The Commission will begin the joint general discussion of sub-items A and B of Agenda Item 3 on the morning of Monday, 5 February, following the opening. The general discussion will continue on the afternoons of both Tuesday, 6 February and Friday, 9 February, and is expected to conclude on the morning of Monday, 12 February, following the consideration of Agenda Item 4. Now, following a recommendation from the Chair of the 61st session, and in the interest of efficiency, the Bureau of the 62nd session has decided to shorten the time limits for statements in the general discussion. The newly proposed time limits for the statements are 7 minutes for the delegations speaking on behalf of groups of states, 5 minutes for individual delegations, 3 minutes for intergovernmental organizations and the UN system, and 3 minutes for NGOs in consultative status with the Economic and Social Council. The time allocated for the general discussion on the draft program of work is based on these time limits and on the number of statements delivered during recent sessions. A digital timekeeping device will be used during the statements of the general discussion to help keep the program on track. I will also add that there are no formal meetings planned on the morning of Friday, 9 February, the afternoon of Monday, 12 February, and on Tuesday, 13 February, so as to allow delegations to hold informal consultations on any outstanding matters as necessary in time before our scheduled conclusion on Wednesday, 14 February. Now I'll turn to the UNRIST nomination. I will note here that sub-item B of agenda item 4 on United Nations Research Institute for Social Development, UNRISD, has been included in the organization of work of the Commission in order to nominate a member to the board of the UNRISD for confirmation by the Economic and Social Council as contained in E/CN5/2024/5. Now, turning to some organizational aspects on the work of the Commission, delegations are kindly requested to inform the Secretariat of any accessibility requirements in order to facilitate participation in meetings. Adjustments may be made to seating arrangements to enable the participation of persons with disabilities in keeping with GA Resolution 73/341. Please note that inscription in the list of speakers for agenda items 3A and B will open on Wednesday, 17 January at 10 a.m. Delegations wishing to inscribe on the list of speakers under sub-items A and B of agenda item 3 will be invited to do so by using the e-speakers module on the e-delegate platform. As per established practice, the list will be prepared on a first-come, first-served basis with priority given according to UN protocol. More detailed information on how to inscribe on the list of speakers will be provided in January in the journal under forthcoming meetings. The list of participants will also be processed based on the submissions by delegations via e-participants on e-delegate, similar to previous years. Relevant information can also be found in the journal announcement on this session. And regarding access to the e-delegate platform, please note that those delegates who were subscribed to last year's session of the Commission in e-delegate will have continued access for the 62nd session. Those who are new to the Commission will need to contact the access administrators in their own respective mission to request access to the Commission's pages in e-delegate. I would encourage delegations to arrange for access as early as possible so that they can take advantage of all announcements, including circulations of 0 drafts of the draft resolutions by facilitators. For any questions regarding the e-delegate platform, kindly contact the Secretariat in the room. Now, looking at e-statements submission, in order to ensure proper interpretation, all statements delivered in the Commission must be sent to e-statements@un.org well in advance and at least 2 hours in advance of delivery. Statements submitted to e-statements@un.org will be available on the UN Journal website. Now, you might ask me, what are the expected outcomes? I will inform delegations that the Commission is expected to take action on 1 decision and 2 draft resolutions during the session. 1, a draft resolution on the priority theme, and 2, a draft resolution on the social dimensions of the new Partnership for Africa's Development, or NEPAD. So these are the 2 draft resolutions, and the 1 decision, a draft decision on the priority theme of the 63rd session. And in my capacity as chair of the 62nd session, I will facilitate the draft resolution on the priority theme. The draft resolution on the social dimensions of NEPAD will be coordinated by the Vice Chair Designate of Burundi and will be facilitated by the Group of 77 and China. The responsibility for and the facilitation of the draft decision on the priority theme of the 63rd session will be undertaken by the Vice Chair of the Dominican Republic. Informal consultations on the 0 draft texts are expected to be conducted between 10 January and 2 February next year. The facilitators of the draft decision and resolutions intend to circulate 0 drafts of the expected outcomes by 10th January. Additional information, including the schedule of informal consultations, will be circulated through e-delegate. The deadline for the submission of draft proposals to the Secretariat is 3 p.m. on Wednesday, 7 February. Sponsors intending to submit new proposals to the Commission are asked to please inform the Bureau and the Secretariat no later than 5 January next year to allow the Bureau to assign a focal point and ensure appropriate and timely follow-up in relation to the program of work. Now I'll turn very quickly to the membership of the Bureau. I am pleased to announce that the Bureau is now fully constituted. Allow me to take this opportunity to acknowledge and appreciate the support of the Vice Chairs and Vice Chair designates in ensuring informative and efficient functioning of the session. We look forward to the substantive discussion that will enrich our discussions. Before I turn to the Acting Director of the Division for Inclusive Social Development of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs, Mr. John Wilmoth, seated to my right, to share substantive preparations for the Commission's 62nd session, I want to emphasize that the priority theme and the theme of emerging issues are important issues to address at this critical juncture. The outcome of our work on these themes on fostering social development and social justice, the influence of digital transformation on inclusive development, and the social dimensions of NEPAD can contribute to the HLPF review of progress in SDGs in July 2024, the Summit of the Future in September 2024, and a possible World Social Summit in 2025. I am confident that with your active engagement and support, the Commission session will produce action-oriented and impactful outcomes. John Wilmoth, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Distinguished delegates, I'm pleased to join the Chair in welcoming all of you to this informal briefing, and I will provide you with some additional information on the substantive preparations for the session. Let me here also convey my appreciation to the Chair and the Bureau for their excellent work in steering the organization of the upcoming session of the Commission. To support the deliberations by Member States on the issues addressed by the 62nd session of the Commission for Social Development, the Secretariat submits to the Commission Secretary General reports, as well as notes by the Secretariat. These reports contain substantive analysis and policy recommendations for the consideration of the Commission. Under Agenda Item 3, follow-up to the World Summit for Social Development and the 24th Special Session of the General Assembly, the following reports are prepared. The report, number 1, the report of the Secretary General on the social dimensions of the new Partnership for Africa's Development. Number 2, the report of the Secretary General on the priority theme, fostering social development and social justice through social policies to accelerate progress on the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and to achieve the overarching goal of poverty eradication. Number 3, the report of the Secretary General on the preparations for the observance of the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family. And number 4, the note by the Secretariat on emerging issues, specifically the influence of digital transformation on inclusive growth and development, a path to realizing social justice. Dear delegates, as mentioned by the Chair, in addition to the general discussions, we will have 6 very interesting panel discussions to explore in greater depth and hear the perspectives of stakeholders. These panel discussions are organized to facilitate the exchange of national experiences and contributions of social partners by leveraging the convening power of the Commission. On the priority theme of fostering social development and social justice through social policies to accelerate progress on the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and to achieve the overarching goal of poverty eradication, There will be a high-level panel discussion focusing on how social policies can become more effective in achieving inclusive, resilient, and equitable societies that leave no one behind. The panel aims to identify opportunities and share experiences of how social policies can better support social progress. The panel will discuss questions such as, what social policies do we need to promote social progress? How national policies can be better designed and implemented to achieve their objectives? And if people's needs and expectations are sufficiently reflected in current policies. This panel will be followed by a ministerial forum highlighting how social considerations can be mainstreamed into national sustainable development strategies. It provides an opportunity for delegates and other stakeholders to interact with ministers and senior officials from member states, and aims to promote experience sharing and mutual learning to improve policy coherence at the national level and to accelerate progress towards the SDGs. I'm sorry, I've lost my place. Yes, okay. The interactive dialogue with senior... Excuse me. Okay, the interactive dialogue with senior officials of the United Nations system on the priority theme will focus on how to improve the mainstreaming of social considerations in broader international development cooperation frameworks. Member states and social partners, including representatives of civil society, will engage with senior officials from the United Nations regional commissions and from the International Labour Organization, or ILO, to address policy coherence at the international level to foster social development and social justice in support of national implementation of the 2030 Agenda. The multi-stakeholder forum will focus on good practices and innovative solutions in promoting social development and social justice. The high-level panel discussion on the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family aims to identify challenges and opportunities and to share good practices on how social policies in general and family-oriented policies in particular can better support families in response to megatrends of technological change, urbanization, migration, and demographic changes. The panel will discuss the interlinkages of the megatrends and their relation to climate change. The panel discussion on the emerging issue of the influence of digital transformation on inclusive growth and development, a path to realizing social justice, will focus on the opportunities and challenges that digital innovation presents for labor markets, marginalized groups, and social policies from a social justice perspective. I also wish to call delegates' attention to the Civil Society Forum organized by the NGO Committee on Social Development in collaboration with the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung and DESA's Division for Inclusive Social Development. It will be held on the 9th of February 2024, also in Conference Room 4, from 9 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. I also take this opportunity to mention a few logistical matters for your attention. First, I wish to reiterate the important information the Chair shared with regard to accessibility support. If any delegates with disabilities require assistance, please inform the Secretariat in advance and contact the UN Accessibility Center at Accessibility Center, all one word, small case letters, Accessibility Center, spelled the British way with a T-R-E at the end, at un.org. Accessibility Center at un.org. Second, the deadline for applications for side events is today, the 4th of December. These side events will address various relevant topics related to the thematic deliberations of this Commission's session. Finally, please note that all information about the 62nd session will be available on the CSocD62 website, which is social.un.org/CSocD, all small case letters. Madam Chair and distinguished delegates, the Secretariat stands ready to support you to make the 62nd session of the Commission for Social Development impactful as we look forward to the 2024 HLPF, the Summit of the Future, and a possible World Social Summit in 2025. Thank you very much.
I thank Mr. Wilmuth for his briefing. Thank you. And this is the moment to open the floor to delegations wishing to make comments or pose questions. Those delegations that would like to take the floor should press the microphone button on their console. I give the floor to Austria.
Thank you very much, dear Chair. Thank you for you and Dessa for the preparation of this briefing. It has been a very comprehensive and timely briefing, and a lot of our questions were addressed already. So thank you for that, for an early start to the next CSocD. We just had one question regarding the panelists, the nominations that you received, when we will be informed where our panelists would be able to speak. Thank you.
For the question, and Mr. Wilmuth, would you like to respond?
I'm going to invite my colleague, Wenyan Yang, to respond to this question.
Thank you. First, thank you for nominating, for suggesting panelists. The Secretariat had compiled the list of potential speakers nominated by member states as well as experts suggested by the Secretariat, and then we are in the process of putting, there's a tentative kind of makeup of the panel. And with your particular nomination, if you had indicated on which panel the nominee would like to speak, that would be given priority consideration, and then we'll let you know afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Hope that answers Austria's question. And I see Saudi Arabia, and after that, the Syrian Arab Republic.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and congratulations on assuming this important position. And we wish you the best of luck. And also, the coming session on CSocD with its priority theme has a very important to Saudi Arabia, including the social justice and the reduction of poverty. I just would like to thank you for the briefing and to ask about the inscription for the general discussion when it will start on the e-delegate. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that question, and I give the floor to our Secretary.
Thank you very much for the question. Inscription for the list of speakers in the general discussion will open on Wednesday, the 17th of January at 10 a.m. on e-delegate. We'll send a reminder closer to then. Thank you.
Thank you, and I give the floor now to the Syrian Arab Republic. You have the floor.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and thank you for your briefing as well. Just have two questions, if I may. First is regarding, I'm here this time, yeah. Regarding the statements, because you have mentioned that the participation will be in person, fully in person this year. Last year, we had the chance to participate through a pre-recorded video. I believe that this option is not available this year, just to make sure if this is the case. So participation in the general debate is only in person. Second, I believe last year we received sort of a letter of invitation from the Secretary General as well. I think we got it early January, if I'm not mistaken. Are we going to get this one soon, and when? Because I need to send it back, as all of our colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions. There were two questions. Let me answer the first one, and the second one will be answered by Rachel. As far as the first one is concerned, yes, you've got that right. As far as possible, and much in line with what we did at the UNGA High-Level Week also, we would encourage in-person participation at the 60-second session as well. That sends out so much more robust message. And for your question number 2, I turn to Rachel.
Thank you very much for the question. The note verbals containing an invitation from the Secretary General to the upcoming session of the Commission were circulated to missions last week. So perhaps they're still filtering their way down. If you didn't receive it, just let us know, but they were circulated last week. Thank you.
Bulgaria, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. This is a rather technical question, but as far as the registration on e-delegates, I was just wondering if a note verbal should be submitted as well, attached to the in the form, or do we just need to fill out the names of the participants and e-delegates? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. Yes, in terms of inscribing the members of your delegation for the list of participants, it would be sufficient to enter the names on e-delegate. There's no need for a note verbal. Thank you.
I see Morocco has taken the floor. Morocco, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and happy to see you there, and congratulations on your nomination as chair of the CSocD session. And of course, you can count on our support and the support to the Bureau and the Secretariat. Just quickly on, because I'm having the website in front of me, and of course, we're not putting any kind of pressure on the Secretariat, but just approximately when will the concept note, draft concept notes will be available so that we send them to the capital? I see that we're already having the deadline for the general debate, list of speakers 17 January. I think the end of it, I see here somewhere 6th of February is the end of the list of speakers, but anyway. But regarding the other events, the concept notes, I guess that's when the list of guests will be agreed on, then the draft concept notes will be circulated, no? Just to confirm this so that we send everything to Capital. Thank you.
Yes, it's a little difficult to give you a precise answer for all of the panels together, but we are working on them this month, and we're hopeful that by the end of this month, we will have something available for you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see that Syria has a second question. Please take the floor.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's rather than a question, just an intervention. I know I'm asking about the participation in a pre-recorded video, because we also believe that participation in person is more effective and will give more representation for each member state, and we really wish we could do so. But again, sometimes the pre-recorded video was the solution or the way out for member states just like mine, who was considered as one of the developing countries, when the costs of just bringing in a delegation to participate all the way from the capital might be really, really high at this time. So Last year, the way out was I believe it was a statement of our Minister of Social Affairs that he participated last year, but that was the way out. We totally believe that in-person participation is way better, but again, for countries such as my country and many other developing countries, maybe that was the chance for us to participate. But we totally respect your approach. Just want to highlight that if we don't have a delegation from capital, it doesn't mean that we don't give a higher priority to this committee. It's on the other way around, actually. It's really important for us, but sometimes we couldn't, again, participate for the expenses, costs. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Point well taken. Rather, I would say points well taken. And we shall certainly come back to you. Until then, what I have said generally should prevail. But we appreciate what you have said. Exceptions are always there. And we shall come back at a later stage. Thank you. Well, it seems that we have satisfied everybody. And if I am correct in assuming that, I would like to thank delegations for their attendance and participation. And I therefore declare this informal meeting as adjourned. Thank you.